Unbroken, the Louis Zamperini story by Jonathan Bolden, Zachary Davidsmeyer, Ryan Garcia, and Arnold McKesson. Louis Zamperini was born January 26, 1917, to two Italian immigrants in the town of Olean, New York. Zamperini would later move to Torrance, California, which is in the southwestern part of Los Angeles County, where he would discover his fondness for track running. In 1934, Zamperini would set the national high school mile record at 4 minutes and 21.2 seconds, which would last for an incredible 20 years. Zamperini, being one of the nation's top high school athletes, was recruited by the University of Southern California, which he attended on a full athletic scholarship. Louis Zamperini would attend the 1936 Olympic qualifiers for the 5,000-meter run, where he was narrowly beaten by the world record holder in the event, Don Lash. Although he was defeated, this was enough to get him into the 1936 Olympic Games. There was enormous pressure on Zamperini considering the 1936 Olympics were held in Nazi-occupied Berlin. This was an opportunity for the Allied forces to demoralize the Axis forces by showing off their prime athletes. Although Zamperini didn't medal in the event, he finished in 8th place, 5 places ahead of the world record holder in the event, Don Lash. This was a considerable achievement coming from a 19-year-old college student with much of his career ahead. But he wasn't the only highlight of the 1936 Olympics. There was also a certain athlete called Jesse Owens. By 1938, Zamperini was back at the collegiate level, breaking records again. He set the national collegiate mile record at 4 minutes and 8 seconds. Another record that stood for an astounding 15 years. Zamperini graduated from the University of Southern California in 1940. He looked forward to his promise in the 1940 Olympics. Unfortunately, that was cut short due to the commencement of World War II and the cancellation of the 1940 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. Zamperini, feeling the obligation to serve his country, enlisted in the United States Army Air Corps, where he became a bombardier on a B-24 Liberator, a fighter plane that was commonly used during World War II. In May of 1934, Zamperini and his crew were sent on a search and rescue mission to find a pilot who had crashed somewhere over the Pacific. Unfortunately, they too ended up crashing. Out of the 12 men, 3 of them survived, one being Zamperini. And one of the constant threats they always faced was sharks being around them and the constant bombings of Japanese planes around them. Zamperini spent a total of 47 days at sea. Unfortunately, one of the other men with him died. But when he washed up on the shore, it was far from salvation, for he had washed up onto Japanese territory and was sent to a POW camp. The Japanese wanted to use Zamperini as a form of propaganda. Therefore, he was victim to physical and psychological torture. He was at the POW camp for over 2.5 years, where he was pronounced dead by the United States military. He was released in 1945 after the end of World War II. Zamperini went on to become a sign of forgiveness and hope for World War II. He returned to Japan in 1950 to forgive his torturers. And after this, he created 2 youth camps for troubled young men. He also was the basis of the 2014 movie Unbroken. Tragically, Zamperini passed away from pneumonia on July 2, 2014, but his legacy of courage, hope, and perseverance still lives on.